Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us today, Parent and Family Services, for our Tiger Talk. My name is Heather Hampton, and I'm the Assistant Director for Parent and Family Services. And we are so excited to have some special guests here with us today. I'm going to let our coordinator introduce himself, and then we'll talk a little bit more about who we have and what we're going to talk about today.
Hey y'all, so I'm Cade Forbes and I'm the coordinator for Parent and Family Services.
And so today we have our special guest, our campus partners from the Veterans and Military Student Services Center and the Veterans Educational Benefits area. So we have Chris. I can never pronounce your last name,
Burke.
Chris, so you may have to help me, Bert.
Yeah.
And we also have Miss Tia Nickelberry here with us. And so, what I want to do today is to we're going to ask a few questions just so you can get a chance to know who this department is and how they serve our students on campus. They're very important to the campus, serving veteran students and also military affiliated students, and probably even more. So, they'll be able to let you know some of the services that they provide. If you're here live or if you're listening to the recording later, feel free to ask questions. You can ask them in the chat and we'll try to incorporate those. Or you can email parents@memphis.edu and we'll get your questions to the Veterans and Military Student Services Center staff so that they can answer your questions. But the first thing we want to do is just get to know who you all are. So if you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves and your journey here to the U of M, maybe how long you've been here, and some of your favorite things about working with veterans and military students.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. I'll jump in first. So, Chris Burke here. I'm coming up on almost 8 years here at the University of Memphis. I started actually in the Central Advising Center. It was actually called the Academic Counseling Center then, where I got to work with a lot of freshman students and nursing students and really got to learn the whole scope of the institution, a lot of the resources. I found myself being the go-to person of working with our service members and veterans as a current guardsman myself, who has over 16 years in. It was pretty logical for them to kind of start sending those students to me. I transitioned into my current role here at Veterans and Military Student Services almost 4 years ago and kind of been developing the engagement and plan and services that we offer for students. And then we have some really exciting things with teaming up with our Veterans Education Benefits and Certification staff as well in one centralized office. So super excited to be working with them now in a centralized location, serving our vets and military affiliated students.
Hi, I'm Tia Nickelberry. I am Assistant Coordinator for the Veterans Education Office. I have been here coming up on 3 years, so I'm new. I'm the newest on the team, and I'm the school certifying official for those who want to utilize their GI Bill. And also with me is
Hi, I'm Ebony Edwards. I'm actually one of the other assistant coordinators for Veterans Educational Benefits. Um, I've been here right at 6 years. Was brought on as the third school certifying official at that time. So yeah, I've been here about 6 years, and we're one of the school certifying officials to help students utilize their GI Bill benefits.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. You all, I'm sure, bring a wealth of information because I know me personally, I've been here a while, but I haven't necessarily, I don't quite understand all of what you all do. And so I'm excited to get to learn today, along with the family members that are listening in and even students, just to, ways that we can better serve families who are military affiliated. So thank you for what you all do and thank you for your service. And we're glad you all are here at the U of M. I'll start with the next question. What is the purpose and the mission of the Veterans and Military Students Services Center?
Yeah, so great question, and one that's kind of fluid and changing at the moment. I mentioned we have lots of change going on, and we're combining staff and spaces and everything. But kind of a working one that we've had in place prior to that is that we are committed to fostering a supportive and inclusive environment for our veterans and military affiliated students through personalized assistance, resource, and advocacy. We strive to empower these students to achieve academic success, pursue their goals, and seamlessly transition into civilian life. By honoring their service and unique experiences, we aim to cultivate a community that celebrates their service and unique experiences.
Awesome. All righty. So now just getting into some of the services that you all offer. So specifically, what services does your office offer for veterans? And then we'll combine that with the next question as to what services does your office also offer for children of veterans?
Yeah, it's a great question. And when I kind of go through some of these services and things that we offer, it's going to kind of cover down on some of the questions you may ask later. So we can always get into more details and some of those later in those questions. But you know, to be honest, we do a lot of things that we don't know we have to do. So we kind of face all those challenges, individual challenges, unique challenges, one-on-one as they come. But just to give you an overarching view of some of the services we do, we really focus on that transition assistance from military to school, then also from school to work, right? So we need to help our vets, our service members, and those dependents transitioning from their service to college life. It's a whole new environment for them. They may be going from the Army or wherever that tells you what to do, when to do, and how to do it, to walking on campus where that's just not the case. And so we're here to provide that transition assistance, but then also to help them, you know, end up in that career that they're trying for, you know, their second career for many of them as well. So we have a dedicated student center here at the University Center in the Involvement Zone. We have a computer lab with printing. We have snacks and coffee. We actually have a brand new relaxation lounge with a massage chair in it, some dim lighting, some chairs to sit and read or relax. It has TV in there as well. So it's a really unique utilized space for all our military affiliated students. I just renamed that the Tiger USO. I just need to hang the the sign on the wall there. And then obviously we have our VA Education Benefits Coordination. So we have a great staff of 3 that are experts in that area. So they can provide that one-on-one assistance, support, questions, all those things, education around that. They're very responsive to emails and phone calls. So they do a great job supporting the campus needs for certifying as well. And then we work with prior learning credits, so making sure those military students, our veterans and service members are getting their joint service transcripts uploaded to the university, getting them credit in their academic areas where applicable, so that they can get those, you know, get their degree quicker by getting those credits that they have already earned through their military education. We do a lot of what I call retention support. So if a veteran or a service member or even a dependent, if they're having trouble in classes and their instructor puts in an alert that says they're having poor attendance, poor test scores, not turning in assignments, I run those reports and I actually call every one of those students and try to get them on the phone and talk with them and find out what's going on, what can we do to help, what resources you might need. Sometimes it's you know, coaching them on how to have those conversations with their instructor, or learning about office hours and all those various things. If we can't get them on the phone, then we're going to go to email and text messaging and do everything we can to try to support that student and let them know that we're here, and you know, we see that they may be having some issues, because we want all of our students to persist. They're here, they have great benefits to use. We want them to maximize that and earn that degree. So we spend a lot of time on that retention support. And then we've even hosted study hall hours, trying to bring students on campus. We've done unofficial potluck dinners on study day, because you can't have any student functions on study day, but encouraging students to come in and study and bring food for everyone to get ready for their finals. We do various student engagement things. I know that's one of the questions later, so I'll get into the specifics of that as we bring that up later on kind of some of the events that we're doing. And then we house the Student Veterans Organization as well, which we'll discuss later in a little bit more detail. Scholarships, we house some of those as well. And honestly, we just kind of take each day by day, and we don't pigeon ourselves into only covering down on one area. I've been tasked by the provost office to see why the flag was not in the correct height at half staff due to a student veterans complaint. So I had to learn flag codes and walk around campus and find out what was going on. So you just never kind of know what we're going to do in this office to kind of support those veterans and military affiliated students.
We definitely appreciate you, and all I can say is, wow, you all do so much. Just in that description that you gave, so much for our students. So we appreciate you all, and especially the retention piece, because it's one thing to get the students here, then they walk them through how to use their benefits is important because you don't want them to waste those benefits and to maximize, like you said, all the resources that they have. So we appreciate that, and I'm just in awe. I'm excited about all the things that you all are doing, and I'm wondering how you all do it with just your staff.
Yeah, I
I'm
will
like,
say,
surely
Heather,
there's some more there.
yeah, we love doing the engagement stuff, right? Bringing students in to have fun and hosting and planning events and all that. The retention stuff, like making those phone calls when they're struggling, is
Yeah,
not, the highlight of your day. But when you can see that student pull through
right.
and get past that class and get those grades and be in good standing, it's definitely worth the effort.
Right, and they can overcome, and you've had a hand in that. That's excellent. So you mentioned one of the things, student organization. I think you said the Veteran Student Organization, or it had a different name. I can't remember exactly what you said, but maybe tell the families a little bit about specifically what the student organization does for students and how students can connect in with that, and maybe some of the activities that they're responsible for.
Yeah, so it's the Student Veterans Organization, and I think a lot of times our veteran students call it the Veteran Students Organization. So it's kind of crazy to hear what
Yeah, I
floats around up
apologize
there.
for getting that
No,
twisted there.
yeah, the current president of the Student Veteran Organization always calls it the VSO instead of the SVO himself. So yeah, very common. So yeah, we house that organization, and that's primarily for our veterans and then service members. Dependents and veteran supporters can definitely be involved and be in it. So we don't limit any of those activities to just those service member and veteran groups. If you wanted to be an officer in that group, you'd have to be a veteran student. And then so they host a monthly meeting where they do some planning. Currently, this semester, right now, we have a service day plan. They just had a student veterans meetup off campus on Saturday at Brookhaven, which was really cool to see, even with the thunderstorms coming in. There's about 8 of them, I think, that showed up, which was kind of cool to see that camaraderie outside of campus. Um, I don't know if I mentioned it, but we have a service day plan where the group is going to go volunteer, I believe, at the food bank in April. And then we're currently planning a Redbirds outing for our veteran and service member group, as well as our dependent group, where they can invite their veteran family member to go to Redbirds game with them.
Awesome. So lots of fun events within that organization. That's always great to hear. So our next question does touch on the Veterans Lounge, which I think you mentioned actually has been renamed. So if you could talk a little bit about that and then what services slash, what it entails in the lounge.
Yeah, so we're very centrally located. We're in the University Center in the involvement zone, which is great. So a lot of times students will just go downstairs, grab lunch, come upstairs. We have a big lobby area when you first walk in the suite where students can sit and do homework, eat lunch, tell war stories if you're in the military yourself. And then we have whiteboards in there for doing homework or studying or whatever. And then I mentioned the computer lab, which is 4 computers. We actually have CAC-enabled computers, which can read your military ID. So if you're a service member or guardsman, or even ROTC students, that's really, really helpful. We may be one of the only places on campus that have that. And then they have printing as well. And then one of the rooms and kind of the lounge area is that relaxation room itself, which is the 2 chairs, the TV, and the really nice massage chair. That students are welcome to utilize as well. And then we have a conference room that's kind of undergoing a little bit of renovation that students can book for study groups or hosting little mini events or things like that in our area.
Wow, I think I'm going to pay you all a visit so I can
Oh,
check
and
out some of those spaces.
we always have coffee for sure, and
Okay.
usually we have snacks.
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely students love snacks.
And I've been
They
learning
love their
what's
snacks.
really good snacks and what's not good snacks, because what I think are good snacks, they don't go off the shelf as fast. And the stuff that I don't eat as much seems to be going a lot quicker. So I have to
Yeah.
adjust on the fly there.
Yeah, you gotta listen to the customers there, see what they want. So, all the different student resources that you have in the office are great. I just think that I don't know. I'm just excited to hear about all of that because sometimes, even as campus partners, it's good for us to know what you all have so that, if we encounter families who are looking for that and they have questions and we can, shout out, hey, your student can do this, or you can take advantage of all of these great resources, physical resources and spaces and environments that are going to help students be successful. So that just makes me even more excited. So you mentioned some of the activities that you all have planned with the student groups that you have. Do you all do any major university events throughout the year? Maybe you can talk about a few of those, some of the larger events that you all are a part of.
Yeah, of course. So we do a graduation recognition event for our veteran and service members who are graduating. They get awarded their stoles, their veteran stoles and cords for their service. So we do one in the spring, and then we host one in the fall that we usually piggyback with our Veterans Day celebration as well. So those are kind of the big main things that we do. Um, we are hosting the Veteran Services State Commissioner Baker for a breakfast Q&A, probably with our veteran students, service members, dependents, and some staff and faculty. That's going to be towards the end of March. And then, like in the past, we've done all kinds of various ways to try to get people involved. So, for example, we have our MREs in the military that we eat when you're deployed or in the field. We've had our MRE lunch experience where we invited staff and faculty to come enjoy an MRE for lunch. And we had our veterans, student veterans and service members come in and coach them on how to enjoy an MRE when you're deployed and in the field.
Oh man, I would have
Um,
loved to be a part of that. I'm kind of giggling because I'm looking at Cade's face when you put that up there. He was like, "Oh, I don't know about that," but I've
yeah,
heard
this
some of
is
those MREs are actually tasty.
they're not bad at all. This one's Mexican style chicken stew. It is not bad. It's definitely edible. You could eat almost this whole thing, all 4,000 calories of it, and you're going to be
Whoa,
feeling pretty good.
whoa,
Um,
4,000
but
calories.
yeah, so we're always trying to find ways to engage not only our students but our staff and faculty so that they can be aware of our population that we support here on campus. Um, some other events that we've had in the past, we've done a trivia night. We've had a dodgeball tournament, all kinds of different things like that. Just whatever we can do to try to get students out. If they ask for things specifically, we'll try to plan it. Otherwise, we just kind of plan what we can and see who shows up and, adjust our flyer from there.
Awesome. All righty. Some great events. So now we're going to kind of switch over to more of the finance kind of questions of y'all support that y'all offer. So specifically, what options are there for financial support for veterans on our campus?
So I'll answer a few of these, and I definitely want Tia to jump in if I'm missing everything. We do offer our veterans in-state tuition without residency, which is nice. And then their GI Bill is going to pay for 100% of their tuition on campus. Of course, there are other fees and stuff, and that's where it's important for us to be letting them know what that looks like, right? So your GI Bill covers your tuition, but there are other fees and things that we want everyone to be mindful of. We currently, the last 2 semesters, have offered a $350 Tiger Eats scholarship to our veteran students, where they were getting the Tiger Eats $350 scholarship to them as a benefit of attending here. We're not sure if we're going to continue doing that, but that was a great opportunity for our veteran students the last couple semesters. Tia and Ebony, can you guys think of some other kind of benefits, using their GI Bill and things like that, like financial impacts that are helpful for our students attending?
You're pretty much covering everything. I'm just sitting back like, oh, Chris is taking this thing. But
Yeah, and I will say, just real quick, I can't remember if I'm getting ahead. We have been working on kind of growing scholarship opportunities. We get lots of phone calls about scholarships. So within the last 2 years, I secured a scholarship from a very nice family that we call the Clement Santee Courage Awards. We usually give out 2 partial tuition scholarships and then about 5 book scholarships per year with that. And then we still have the M. David Rudd completion scholarships. So our former president Rudd, who's a veteran himself, has a scholarship that we give out for a student who may run out of their GI Bill benefits. So we can help them graduate still, which is nice. And then I've been really working on collecting just some national and state scholarship opportunities for any student that can apply to, just to have some other options as we kind of try to build more and more support system for our students.
Well, that's very good to know that there are financial opportunities to assist and support students as they come to complete their degrees and get that education. I guess with this next question, just understanding ways you assist with the GI Bill, but also one of the questions is understanding the process of a veteran student or a student who's using their family members' benefits. What does that process look like from literally the first call? Hey, I want to enroll. I may or may not have benefits. Help me get get from this step to that step. How does that look for students? And then how do each one of your areas contribute to that process and making sure that student has a smooth process of getting enrolled as a student and using their benefits?
Yeah, that's one area we definitely are looking forward to improving as we've now joined co-locations, and we're definitely having a lot better ability to kind of see what both areas do and how we can streamline our processes and things. I'll tell you kind of from the student engagement side that, I primarily work with, we're definitely working on getting some proactive communication out to let them know that process. And something I've shared with Tia and Ebony and the rest of the team is when hopefully by fall, when a service member or a vet or even a dependent, they identify that they have a military affiliation when they apply to University of Memphis, when they're actually admitted, they're going to get a pre-populated messaging from the office that lets them know about all these steps that we may talk about that we can kind of continuously update. Because unfortunately, as it sits now, until they approach us and use their GI Bill, that's the only time we start tracking them. So we're trying to get the information out to them early, so we don't have to try to catch them at the back end. But definitely would love for Tia or Ebony to kind of share that utilizing their GI Bill process here at University of Memphis.
So Heather, what we ask is if you know that you plan to use your GI Bill, we ask that you submit your certificate of eligibility or your DD 214. So that starts the process. And then after the student has done that, we ask that after they register for classes, that they'll go ahead and complete the certification and deferment. And when they do that, then we know we have their information. We can go ahead and start the process on submitting their hours to the VA. So basically, the first thing we ask them, send us your DD 214, send us your certificate of eligibility, and make sure after you have registered that you go ahead and do the certification and deferment.
So that's good to know. There are some action items that the students have to do to kind of trigger some of the responses and the process, sounds like from what you said. So do they typically do their certification after they've been admitted, or is that after they've registered for the classes themselves? Like when do they actually submit that certification to you all?
If they register for their classes, then they'll submit that.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So they're already admitted and know that they're accepted to the university, and now once they've seen their advisor, get their classes, and then they submit that certification to start that certification process.
Yeah, Heather, I will give you one caveat here is students using tuition assistance. So service members, they actually work with an individual in the University Student Business Service Office for that tuition assistance. So it's a little different than the GI Bill, but we work closely with them, and we always help that student get that proper information, and then come pop in and use the computer lab with our CAC reader to get in the systems to submit that information for their tuition assistance. But that is another area that students may need to visit if they are using tuition assistance.
Now, I was just gonna add, you were just asking, do they request certification after they have registered? They actually cannot request certification until they register. They have to have at least some of their class schedule intact. We typically want them to have their full schedule ready before they request certification. Of course, some students won't, or they'll drop classes at a later period after they've already requested certification. But to answer your question, they have to have a class schedule before they can even access the portal to request certification.
Thank you for that. Just so families that are listening, if you're planning on utilizing those services, you understand that process, that the student does have to have some classes on the book, so we can say, hey, they're actually an enrolled student wanting to take classes, so get that certification done. Thank you for that. I'll toss it to you, Kate.
Alrighty, yeah. So, Chris, you mentioned earlier some book scholarships. So specifically, what is the Textbooks for Tiger Veterans program, and then how can one utilize that?
Yeah, I thought about having you guys eliminate that question, but I want to be as transparent as possible. So we have switched our book vendors, right? We're using Barnes and Nobles. We have the Tiger Smart program, that is that affordable program for students. Are charged $24 per credit hour. That is an old program where students, when they were responsible for buying their own books, essentially would donate the books to the library, and then our veteran students could go borrow those books each semester. Now with the transition and the basically just renting your books now, students aren't buying them anymore. We don't have that current program as it sits. We're definitely looking at ways like securing that scholarship to give those book scholarships out, a ways to kind of supplement that if possible. And then we can always work with students and resources in the community and campus to cover those books one way or another if we have to. We just kind of have to view each case as a need by need kind of situation and then see what we can do for them. But unfortunately, that program does not exist exactly anymore.
Well, that's good to know. I'm glad we asked it so that families can know that they have another option there, or another replacement program. And I do encourage families to um, look into the Tiger Smart Start program. It's every semester it may change. You could save up to 50%, I believe, on the cost of books renting versus purchasing them all outright. So it's a great program, I think, and I'm glad that you all are even though there are savings in that program, you're still looking and searching for ways to continue to further support student veterans and military affiliated families. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate your transparency, and thank you for putting that out there, because families need to know, and we do too.
Sure.
We don't want to put any misinformation out there. So if a student is here and they're taking classes, they say they're maybe with the, like you served with the National Guard, right?
Mhm.
So if they get deployed for some reason, um, what services do you have that are in place to support those students? So if they have to transition quickly in the middle of a semester, say, how would they do that, and how do you support them?
Yeah, so the institution follows all federal and state laws and regulations, so that person will be taken care of fairly. So usually what happens is they'll reach out to myself, or sometimes the registrar office, sometimes University Student Business Service Office. What that student needs to do is file a financial appeal for a refund, and then request to be withdrawn from their classes, essentially. But really, there's probably three options that the student can do. So they can work with their instructors if they're far enough along in the semester and they know they're about to maybe go to basic training or get deployed or whatever, where they can try to get their work completed. If they've been here for 12 or 13, 14 weeks, they might be able to go ahead and work ahead. And that instructor will allow them to do that. They can get their grade, right? So sometimes we coach them on that option and help them work with their instructors and tell them what that might look like. Let's say they've only been here for a couple weeks and they're getting activated, or they just don't have enough time in the class where the instructor is not going to let them try to work. They can take an incomplete for a whole year, but that's going to cause some issues with their VA funding. So we usually would not recommend that at all. And then their backup option there is basically we give them a complete withdrawal once they submit the form requesting a withdrawal for that reason. They provide the supporting documents, their orders or whatever. So they'll get an administrative withdrawal and they'll get a full refund. So they won't owe the money for the classes, even if it's past the 100% refund or 50% refund period. So they're going to actually get, the money's going to go back where it needs to go. If
Yeah,
they
that's
paid
what I was
some out
going
of
to ask
pocket,
too.
yes, it goes back where it's supposed to go, not all to them. So where it's almost like they were never here, essentially.
Okay. And I guess Tia, does that money once it goes back to the pool, will it be available for them to use in the future? Or is there a time limit on when they can come back and use that? Let's say that if they're on active duty for 2 years and then they want to come back and utilize those benefits, do you know if those are available or will be available at that time for them?
Yes, it will be available, because what we do, once we've been notified, we will go into the VA system. Well, it's called Enrollment Manager. We will go into that and go ahead and terminate. So that way the VA knows that they're not, they're not utilizing that benefit for that term. And when they
Okay.
return, to go back through the same process and get started again.
Okay. Sounds good. That's good to know that they can have that pause when they need to and come back for official duty and things.
Yeah, one other automated system I'm currently working on is a notification system in something like Navigate, where if a student approaches me and says, "Hey, I'm about to go to basic training," I can tag them, and when I send them the tag, it's going to send an alert to their advisor, to the USBS office, the registrar, and then everyone in this office, to let everyone in the communication loop know there's going to be some changes with the student. Let that be on your radar too.
That's good. That's good.
Awesome. All righty. So, one of our very last questions of the day is simply just how can parents and family members get involved with your office and department?
Yeah, so what's interesting is a lot of our veteran students or student veterans are parents themselves. So they're navigating, parent life, going to college, utilizing their benefits, supporting families, stuff like that. So anytime they show up to events or participate or around and share their experiences, I think I'm just happy that they're here and they can do that. We have a really awesome group of students that we get to work with here. Not that all the other groups of students aren't awesome as well. Of course, I worked with lots of them too, but definitely appreciate those student veterans that are parents that are coming here and participating in events and stuff. And I think for our dependent students, I think that veteran parent could encourage them to be involved in the office. Even if you're not a veteran, we still have lots of resources. We have the space available. We have lots of great people that your children could be around. And so encourage them to get involved, because sometimes they see veterans and military services. They don't think that means support for them. But as a student who's using that GI Bill, we're definitely here to support them. We have lots of amenities for them, resources, the space for them as well. So just encouraging them to get involved, I think, would be a benefit for the office.
That's very good advice. And then just to piggyback off of that, I know we're getting close to time, but I want you all to any final thoughts or nuggets or wisdom for not only parents and family members, but also faculty and staff and other supporters of students at the university. Things that we should be aware of, that veterans, some of the needs that student veterans may have, that we should be, have on our radars. If you could just share a few little nuggets of wisdom and thoughts with that and that'll be our final question there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, what's been interesting of working with this population is I feel like sometimes they're lumped into one box, but really that's a really diverse group of people who have different political values, they have different personal values, cultural values, and sometimes I think we put almost too much focus on their military experience and lump them into one area when I think that's part of who they are. That's not exactly who they are. And so I think just being mindful of that, using that as a guide for their experience and knowledge and all that in the classroom and in groups and stuff and their leadership potential is great. But also at the same time, recognizing that there's a whole institution here and they have a lot of other things to offer as a person, not just, their military experience.
Tia, I'll toss it to you. Any wisdom or thoughts and things that you could share for families or faculty and staff and other supporters?
Ebony, she was about to, she
Oh,
was about to
I was
answer.
just, no, I was
okay,
just
yeah,
going
go ahead, Ebony. Go ahead. We
I was
want the
just going to
wisdom.
say, we understand that the transition from, well, into being a new student at a school, becoming a college student, or even transferring from another school is in and of itself kind of overwhelming.
Mhm.
And to top that off with everything that's being asked of them as a veteran and how to get their educational benefits applied to their school so that they can attend school, it seems a bit much for them at first. So we're just kind of the go-between the for the school or the student and the VA. We're just here to kind of help them make that seamless process where they kind of don't have to stress. That's one thing they don't have to stress about. So they can just come to us with their questions, their concerns, and we're always here to help.
That's good. That's good. So I just really want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you all for what you do for the students. We have the contact information here that family members can utilize if you have questions or you want to connect or you want to donate or serve or however you can support the office. We have the contact information here for you. Thank you all so much. You all, what you do is valuable, it's appreciated, it's necessary and needed at this campus for our students. And our entire community. So I'm so glad we get a chance to highlight you all and really see what you do and learn from you so that we can better serve students and family members as we encounter them. So thank you all so much. I appreciate that. Um, I do want to make a couple of announcements. So our finals care packages are on sale now. You can go to the U of M Parent and Family Services website to access that and purchase that for your student and the distribution will be at the end of the semester right before final exams and students always love getting those, so maybe you can think about a military student or a student veteran that may put a smile on their face to get a care package there. So they're
But like they're back in
$40.
Iraq.
Yeah. They're $40 and we curate them ourselves. So we go shopping and we put them all together just so we can make sure students know that they're supported, that their family members are thinking about them. So this is a great opportunity that families take advantage of every semester to just show their students that little extra tangible support. Also, if you have a student who is graduating in this coming May commencement, we have graduation yard signs that are also for sale. Just a way for you to shout out to the world how proud you are of your Memphis Tiger that's accomplished their goal. So those are on sale as well. Those are $20, and you can access those on our website as well. But we just wanted to put that out there to give the families an opportunity to purchase that. We have another Tiger Talk coming up on March 18th where we're going to talk about career planning. So if you're a student, even if they're not a senior, you want them to already be thinking about, career planning, internships, jobs, life after college, and what their next steps are going to be. So we're going to talk with career services and talk about how you can support them as they start that career planning process. So March 18th at 1 o'clock p.m. right here on Microsoft Teams. You can go to our website to access the button to join that on that day, and of course, we will record that so that you can access it on demand on our YouTube channel. So, thank you all for joining in with us on this Tiger Talk. Thanks for attending, and we will see you all on the next Tiger Talk. Have a wonderful day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye bye.